Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is, we'll just go with just Steve. We'll just
Just
Steve this
Steve.
week.
Just
Yep.
Steve.
But just as always, with me is delicious Dwaylon Davis.
Hey everybody.
Yes, you're going to have that nickname the rest of your life.
Oh yeah.
You
It's
know,
stuff. So
if they don't put it on your headstone, I will put it on your headstone. So kind of like the nameplate that goes on the big gold.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
just clink right there.
There it
Delicious.
goes.
And first thing I got to say is we were wrong. It was a good show. I
It
mean, it
was a
wasn't
good show.
perfect, but it
Yeah.
was a good show.
I think if they had taken out some of the filler stuff, it would have been a absolute almost perfect show from top to bottom if they'd have just moved out a few of the filler things.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a really good show. It was a really entertaining show, better than I thought. There were some results that I didn't agree with, but
Right.
I'm not in charge, so just my opinion. But I
Well,
will say the best entrance of the night, in my opinion, was Dominic Mysterio. That was fantastic.
and you know what? I'm gonna have to go back and watch because I actually missed quite a few of the entrances because
Hmm.
I was doing stuff. I had to go take care of a couple of things, like had to go get something out of the kitchen,
Hmm.
because I figured, well, it's the entrances, hopefully they won't be too epic. And apparently, like every entrance was
Yeah,
epic.
and yeah, Dominic's was fantastic. I mean, he comes out like like in the back of a police vehicle, handcuffed with a luchador mask on, and then about
Yeah.
halfway up the ramp, he pulls the mask off, but he's handcuffed with with guards around him, walking him to the ring. It's like just yeah.
And I did cap and a catch like right when they were unhandcuffing him at the ring,
Hmm.
but that was it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
Now Edge's entrance was great, but I still got to go with Dominic's having the best entrance of the night.
well, when Edge's entrance when he first hit about half of Facebook, all of a sudden went.
Yeah, yeah.
I was one of them, maybe.
My
Yeah, but
my only issue is Edge won Hell in a Cell, which he shouldn't have. Finn should have won
yep.
because everybody knows how we feel about Edge still wrestling and going over talent that he shouldn't be going over at this stage. Dominic should have won. I was very surprised that Dominic did not win that match.
Yep.
I was
Same here.
extremely surprised. Um, I still feel like Oscar should have beat Bianca Belair.
I was, and we'll go into this, later. But yeah, I was
Yeah,
actually, kind of on the
yeah.
fence either one. I mean, um,
But overall, it was, you know, a really entertaining 2 nights of wrestling. So I will admit that I was wrong. I didn't think it was going to be nearly as good as it ended up being.
um, I hate to start off the show with sad news, but um, Robert Miller, also known as Bushwhacker Butch,
Hmm.
also known as Sheep Herder Butch,
Yep.
he actually was in Los Angeles. He, came in for the Hall of Fame ceremony, and then he passed away at some point yesterday
Hmm.
on the third. Yeah, I actually got a text. Kyle was the first person to text me about it, and I was like, "Do what?" And I had just seen that he was having some health issues. They were trying to raise money for his medical bills.
Hmm.
And then Kyle told me, he texted me, told me, I'm like, do what? And that's when I started looking around. And sure enough, I mean, it was on the news. You went to Google or something,
Hmm.
Wikipedia had already been updated. Um, but that was really sad. I know some people, it's a mixed feelings about them going in the Hall of Fame, but
Hmm.
I, I was a fan of theirs when they were the sheep herders more than the bushwhackers.
My thing is their work as the sheep herders, like made the case for the Hall of Fame induction.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely
mean, they
did.
had already built their legacy before they ever got to WWE and became the Bushwhackers. And then they took a silly gimmick and made it work for all the kids, you know. So hats
I
off to
mean,
them.
I like them better as the sheep herders. They probably made
Mhm.
more money as the bushwhackers.
Yeah, they made more money as the
So
Bushwhackers, but they were taken more seriously as a team as the Sheep Herders.
yeah, man, they were vicious.
But yeah,
And whew, but yeah, may he rest in peace
rest in peace.
because definitely, I mean, I'll say a legend. And one correction from last week. My apologies to Johnny Valentine, more Johnny's son-in-law. I said he was in the Navy, stationed in San Diego. He's actually a Marine,
Hmm.
still stationed in San Diego, but and so and for some people who had never been in the military, they don't say, "Well, what's the difference?" Well, there's a difference, especially if with a Marine.
Hmm.
Um, I did 20 years Air Force. I still have people ask me, "How'd you like the Army?" And it's
It's
nothing
like I
that
didn't because I
I
wasn't there.
didn't exactly. I mean, I say, well, I work with them. They're a bunch of, I'm not gonna, disparage my Army
Yeah.
brethren right now, uh, but, but I mean, we all work together. I have friends in all the services, including Space Force, which I'm going to go watch a retirement ceremony this Friday with a girl I was stationed with in Korea. She is actually now part of Space Force. She's retiring after I think 23, 24 years, and but we all work together. We all play together. We all pick with each other, but we all
Hmm.
respect each other.
Right.
And that's the thing. Um, so I do apologize. So I want to be known as retired Air Force, not retired Army, anything else, because I did in the Air Force. I'm like, oh, I was Air Force, big deal. Big,
Yeah.
big, big. There's a difference. But anyway, and Johnny wants to come on the show. I'd love to have him. As like why we're fans, and he likes the show, and
Yeah. Cool.
so somebody from Hoptown,
Hmm.
coming on the show. So um, and I do want to give a little bit of contact info because if anybody would like to come on the show, just either hit us up on the socials at Facebook, at Twitter. Twitter is at Booking Armchair at Booking Armchair. Dwalen's Twitter is at Fat_Daddy73. Hit us up there. Hit us up on Facebook. At Facebook.com/Armchair Booking Podcast. We're also on Instagram. I have been adding more pictures to Instagram, and I actually added a promotional video of Wildcat Chris Harris.
Hmm.
Added that. Of course, you saw it to the Facebook, and
Yep.
also I just put it on Instagram and Twitter. And like I said, if you want to email armchairbookingpodcast@gmail, if you want to come to the show, just let us know, and we will see what we can do. If you have any show ideas, definitely hit us up. Let us know. I have had people say, "Hey, why don't you try this?" All right, cool. I can do that. Um, but as the show's going is if you're watching on YouTube, you will actually see some of the banners and advertisements. I put them up so they do pop up periodically on the video itself. But if you want to if you want to find us an audio, we're just on any audio platform you can think of. If we're not there, let us know. We'll
Yep.
do what we can to get ourselves added. Now we are on YouTube and we're trying to get the subscriber count up. We are at 119 last time I checked.
Okay.
So in fact, I saw that yesterday, and I will check again right now as we're talking. But also, if you go on Apple.com, if that's how you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, if you go on there and give us a 5-star rating and a review, I will read the review on air.
Which he has done before.
I have done it before, and yet we are at 119 subscribers, 97 videos. How you like that?
Yeah.
So I'm getting pretty good at doing the videos. Let me go to the Apple Podcast because I have not checked to see if we have any new reviews, and we still don't. I want to get a review to read, but we thought we were just going to be pretty much covering Mania and maybe the Raw after Mania, but even bigger news than that has come out, and it's actually been
Hmm.
on like mainstream news.
Yeah, it's been everywhere. It was on my local news here in Paducah. Um, I got the notification from ESPN, of course, Twitter. It was all over the major, news outlets. It's been a big deal, and I don't really know how I feel about it. It's.
Yeah, Endeavor, which is a company apparently they already own UFC.
Hmm.
They are purchasing WWE. Vince is going to be the head of both of them is what I'm seeing. If correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, he's from what I saw earlier today, he is going to be executive chairman of the board for WWE because he has had a 20-year relationship with the CEO of Endeavor.
Ah, gotcha.
For me, this is this sale to Endeavor is the workaround for Vince McMahon to get back into power after all the sexual assault allegations. If I was Endeavor, I would not touch Vince McMahon with a 10-foot pole. I would buy the company. I would have bought the company with the caveat that Vince McMahon not be involved at all, because that investigation still hasn't been resolved. There's still all these accusations swirling around, and it just makes it to me. It just makes it look like, oh, another billionaire that you know has these accusations, and they just sweep it under the rug
Because another billionaire,
another
yeah,
billionaire wants to do business with him. And it's just you've already seen Vince McMahon's fingerprints on last night's Raw because he was firmly in control of last night's Raw. There were He was doing rewrites to the show 15 minutes before the show started. He cut segments that were originally planned. Like Bailey was cut from the show last minute. She was supposed to accompany Damage Control to the ring for their match. That was scrapped, and just Dakota Kai and Io Sky came out. There was no mention of Bailey on commentary, so no one knows what's going on with that. Um, People are speculating that it was the Vince McMahon call to have Brock turn heel and attack Cody Rhodes at the end, where they're supposed to, and in typical Vince McMahon fashion, you have this main event. You've got Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes. They turn Brock turns heel, annihilates Cody, and there's no match. So it's like you advertise for 2 hours at least, 2.5 hours, this blockbuster main event. Then you pull the swerve and have him turn heel, have Brock turn heel, and there's no
swerve.
match. Yeah, and there's no match. So it's like, what was the point? You
It
could have
almost seems
had
like,
Brock attack Cody before that and not wasted the main event spot.
maybe it was a different Vince, bro. Maybe
Yeah, could
you
be. All
know.
I know is that vaudevillain mustache he's rocking is not the look. And he needs to, no, that is not, that's just, Vince McMahon was already looking creepy. He looks even creepier now. So,
Yeah, he's got that whole molestache thing going on.
yeah, yes, he does. Absolutely.
And I sent you the meme
Yeah,
earlier. He's selling it because he could never get the pictures of Spider-Man.
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he does kind of look like J. Jonah Jameson, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah, he does.
Oh, but from some of the things that I'm seeing and some of these videos, I literally watch like 10 minutes before I set up Zoom. Uh, some of the talent, and this is coming from Meltzer. You always got to take what Meltzer says with grain of
Yeah,
salt. It could be true. I mean, but it might not. I mean, you never know because Meltzer's not there.
yeah.
Somebody else is
Somebody
feeding
else
this
is
stuff.
giving him information, and we all know how third party information goes.
Yep.
So,
But they're saying that some of the talent's not happy because all of a sudden they're frustrated. The past, what, 9 months or so that Vince, when he had to step down,
yeah.
and you saw the product was improving,
Oh yeah,
improving,
the
improving.
product was improving. You could just tell that the wrestlers, their morale was up. You could just tell by the way people were. You could tell people were glad to come to work
Yeah.
because things were kind of freshening up and getting better. And now the dark cloud of Vince McMahon is back, and everybody knows Vince McMahon's creative is still stuck in 1995, and Vince McMahon books wrestling for his own amusement, not for the fans' amusement, not for the fans' enjoyment. Vince books for for an audience of one, and that's himself.
Mm-hmm. Vince McMahon, business wise, you can't argue his success.
Business wise, he's a genius.
Right.
Regardless of my thoughts of him as a human being,
Yeah. I mean, we're
bit
separate the art from the artist. I mean,
yeah,
that's
business wise, he's a genius. Booking wise, no.
no.
Booking wise, he has not been a genius in
Well,
25
ever
years.
actually, I
Ever
mean,
actually, because every major idea that he had came from somewhere else.
yeah. And I'm thinking even like some of the big matches, Hulk Hogan, Andre, well, that kind of wrote itself. I mean,
Yeah, that wrote itself. Austin Rock at Mania 17, it wrote itself.
yeah.
As soon as Austin was booked to win the Rumble, and Rock, as soon as Austin won the Rumble and Rock beat Angle for the title at No Way Out, the story was told. Here's the two
Right.
biggest stars of the Attitude Era facing off, main event of WrestleMania, WWE Championship. There was nothing bigger at that time but those two in the title in the main event for the title. Like the hardcore stuff or the Attitude Era was lifted from the original ECW.
Mm-hmm.
The hardcore division, the whole literally pickpocketed from Paul Heyman.
Who just happened to come onto the fold because Paul Heyman. Here's the weird thing: Paul Heyman's a booking genius, but not a
Mm-hmm.
business.
But not a business genius.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
so
yeah.
and Paul Heyman arguably one of the best promos ever.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's an argument that he is second only to Bobby Heenan as far as managers go.
I
Because
would them two, Gary Hart.
yeah, Gary Hart
Um,
does not get enough credit
no, he doesn't.
you know, for his contributions to pro wrestling.
And I know there's got to be some other ones, but yeah, those are the three because their promos were very thought provoking.
Yes, yes,
Bobby Heenan's were just funny anyway.
yeah,
So, oh, but yeah, the talent are not happy about it. Sami Zayn might as well just go churning the belts now.
yeah. Because with Vince in charge, him and Kevin Owens aren't going to hold on to the tag titles very long
Nope.
because Vince doesn't see anything in Sami Zayn, and which means Vince has not watched the product in the last year
Who had
because
who had the biggest pop of the two nights?
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn had the biggest pop when he came out, and then the pop got even bigger when he pinned Jey Uso to win the title.
Yep.
When the ref counted three, that entire arena erupted. That was one of the biggest pops I've ever heard for a
Yeah.
wrestler. And Vince either just I don't know. I don't get it because it's like, how do you not see the potential in this guy? This guy literally took the crap you were booking him with and spun it into gold and was involved in the biggest storyline in pro wrestling for the last year.
Yes. I
And
mean,
he
he
was a
was a
major component to that storyline.
bingo. Thank
It,
you.
the bloodline storyline would not have worked as well as it did without Sami Zayn.
The Bloodline storyline has been something has brought people back to watching it because people have
Mm-hmm.
heard about it. They're like, you got to this whole bloodline thing with Roman Reigns and his cousins and now his other cousin and this Canadian dude named Sami Zayn
Yeah.
and who is just making everybody crack up and he's trying to go in there just to make them crack, which he
Yeah.
did. The whole Oosie thing.
Yeah.
Not feeling very Oosie. Well, they
Yeah.
had shirts come out that said Oosie.
Exactly. I mean, they were printing money hand over
Yeah.
fist. I mean, so hopefully, rumor has it that Triple H is still going to be in charge of creative. I don't, I, the way it's worded is Triple H is going to be in charge of creative, but Vince McMahon has final say over everything,
Yeah.
which means Vince McMahon's in charge
Yeah.
of creative because if it's
Exactly.
anything he doesn't like or anybody he doesn't like, he's just going to veto it. He's the chairman of the board. I mean, he's going to be able to do whatever he wants to do. He also has the backing of the CEO of Endeavor.
Because when Vince McMahon had to step down before, he was not forced to give up his voting shares.
Exactly.
So it didn't matter what was going to happen. Basically, he just took a vacation.
Yeah, he just took time off and then came back, sold the company, and wormed his way back in.
Yeah, he took time, went to go grow a mustache, and he finally said, "Well, that's about as good as it's going to get. I'm coming back."
Yeah, I'm coming
You know,
back.
that,
Yeah, this is it. This is the best it's going to be. So I'm going to come back. I'm going to sell the company. I'm going to make a few $1 billion, and I'm going to run the company again.
and he's 78 years old,
Hmm.
something like that.
77. Yes.
77. Okay, I
Yeah.
knew it was in that ballpark. But it's like, dude, I mean, like you said, separate the art from the artist. It's like you're old enough, you've earned your retirement. Go home.
Yeah. Go home.
You know,
But
you have
he's
a
a
pool.
control freak, and he thinks that his view of pro wrestling is the only view of pro wrestling. Vince is not
No,
seeing the landscape around him. He is not because he doesn't care, because he knows I'm still in control of the biggest show in town. So I don't care what's happening. I don't care that in ways pro wrestling is passing me by because it's evolved so much. I'm going to do it my way because I can.
oh, and so all right, so let's take the tag titles. Let's put them on. Oh, I don't know. Not Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Um, and the world title. Let's throw that back on Brock. Yeah,
Oh, that it would not surprise me if Brock gets another reign with the title. But
and think about this. Roman Reigns, he's getting close to 1,000 days as champion.
mhm,
Um, let's see, about 270 of those last days, we'll say 9 months times 30, 270 days have been without Vince at
mhm,
the helm.
yep,
Triple H recognizes long reigns as
yeah.
champion. Vince
Vince likes
should have
Vince.
recognized it.
He should have recognized it, but Vince likes to hotshot the title. And my thing is the people are talking about how controversial the end of Roman and Cody was, where Roman retains the title. Here is my problem with Roman retaining. Is there money still to be made with Roman retaining? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is a once in a lifetime run. When it's over, there's never going to be anything like this to happen again. But they squandered a perfect opportunity to have the ultimate babyface as the world champion and have all the heels chase Cody because Cody's over. Like Cody was over from the moment people knew he was coming back. Cody was super over the moment he re-debuted at WrestleMania last year. He's been over for the last year. It was he's hot. Put the title on him while he's hot. But no, we're gonna book Brock to destroy him the night after Raw and cool him off because
You know why?
that's all that was pouring cold water on him.
You know why? What did Cody do after he left? Well, it
Oh
was a
yeah,
couple of years after he left WWE.
oh yeah. He first of all he went and took his name and made it mean something after WWE had destroyed it.
Mm-hmm.
He went around the world winning championships.
Including
Then
that one right
yeah,
there.
including the big gold belt, including the Ring of Honor world title. Not the big gold belt, 10 pounds of gold. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Uh,
We know what you meant.
yeah, plus the Ring of Honor world title. Then went and helped create AEW. Vince is not going to do anything for Cody because he's going to look at it like, oh, well, you went and built competition for me. I'm not going to reward you for that.
And
While Triple H would be like, oh, well, Cody's hot. That's where we need to
mhm.
go right now. Because the Roman story doesn't have to end because he loses the title. There could be so much more they could do with that, especially with this whole bloodline falling apart thing. There's so much more that can be done with that, title or no title. But I think they squandered a perfect opportunity to, especially for the rest of the spring and the summer, got this white hot baby face that's super over holding the world title.
It's kind of like, how many matches did Sting have in WWE?
He had two.
Two.
2 matches.
What was his record?
0-2.
You know
Yep.
why? Because he
Because
was
yeah,
representing. I mean, even though WCW by that point had already been
yeah,
dead
it'd have
for
been
a
dead
decade.
for yeah, it'd been
When
dead for like 14 years when and then they drug that up. What it was, Sting was the last holdout from WCW because Sting didn't need to go to WWE. WWE needed Sting. He did not need them. Plus, he went to TNA to help them out,
to
to
help
help
build
them
that,
to help build that brand.
yeah,
And Vince wasn't happy about that either because Vince figured, oh, well, he's automatically going to come here because I can offer him this much money. Well, for Sting, it was like it was still building, you know, helping the next generation of pro wrestlers. That's why he went to TNA. So he gets to WWE and they squander the initial, that initial pop when he came out at Survivor Series and helped Ziggler win. That was amazing. And they wasted it because they turned it
okay,
into WCW versus WWE, even though that wasn't what it was about. And then had him lose to Triple H at Mania, and then had him lose to Seth in the title match, which, considering he got hurt, he had to
yeah,
lose that match. But I'm sure he was booked to lose that match anyway. And in one hand, that's okay because it was a legend putting Seth over.
hmm
But him losing to Triple H was unnecessary.
and Vince did it to be petty, to
Oh
say,
yeah,
"Look, that's my competition. I'm still going to bury you."
oh yeah, it was absolutely ego driven on his part and Triple H's part. Can't leave Triple H is not blameless in that because you know he had some influence with the old man about how that match was going to get booked.
And Triple H, now, granted, people have actually pointed out Triple H, he's actually done the job on more WrestleManias than what he's actually won.
That is, I mean, he has,
However,
but I do know that he has a lot of input on his matches, and I do know back in the day he was notorious for not necessarily always wanting to do business with certain talent because there was talent that he should have put over. Booker T
I was going to say
comes to mind.
one of the worst miscarriages of justice, if you want to call it
Yeah,
that,
yeah, but
was it wasn't just that he pinned Booker T. It's that he hit his move and then waited around, went and got a
it was
snack at the snack bar.
yeah. He waited. It was I think it was 22 or 23 seconds before he made the pin after the pedigree, and it's like
it buried Booker T.
it just
Big
buried Booker
time.
T. Yeah, it took years for Booker T to build himself back up before he won the big gold belt.
And was that before or after Vince McMahon said his thing to Booker T and Charmel? Which I'm like, did he really just
I
say that?
think that was. Oh, I can't remember if that was before or after, but either way, I can't believe he said that. I can't believe the whole when he was wearing the do rag when he was ECW world champion after he got his head shaved.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, stop that, dude. It's like, what are you doing?
Oh, but anyway, so yeah, so we know that Cody being white hot, yes, should have
Hmm.
won it. And I do see the argument, like you said, Roman's still making money.
Roman's still
Roman,
making money. Like you
so
said, he's close to 1,000 days as
mhm.
champion. And I get that. I just think it was a missed opportunity to strike while the iron was hot.
And I mean, and we do like long term champions because I mean, it means
Yeah,
it makes
it makes the title mean something. When they
yes,
lose it, it actually means something. Instead of, oh well, I'm gonna hold the title for 4 weeks and then drop it to somebody. It's like hot potatoing the title makes the title meaningless because it's like, well,
yeah,
anybody can win the title, you
yeah.
know. So
Hold on to it for a long time. That means more.
exactly, because it's
Yeah,
like, look at this laundry list of people like Roman. Look at the laundry list of people that Roman's beat to defend the title. Whoever takes it from him, it's going to mean something.
and now there's only what he's number 5 now on days as
Oh yeah,
champion.
all time, and that is just this run. That is not cumulative days from his other runs. That is just this run that he's on. He's pushing 1,000 days, and only Bruno Sammartino, Pedro Morales, Bob Backlund, and Hulk Hogan have more in a single reign than Roman does.
Yep. And nobody's going to catch Bruno. We know that.
Nobody's going to catch Bruno. Really, nobody's going to catch Hogan.
Not his first reign, no.
Not his first reign, because Hogan had it 4.5 years. I think Backlund had it for like 5 or something like that.
Um, was it that long?
Uh,
I mean, it was at least three.
yeah, it was at least
Um,
3, but yeah, but nobody's touching those. But Roman's in rarefied air.
yeah, he is because especially when you think about when they were hot potato in the title,
Hmm.
how many different people have actually held it now?
Yeah, yeah. It's like the 60, 65 plus year lineage of the WWE title. And
Oh
I
my
think,
God, yeah, it is, isn't it?
yeah, and I think we're pushing, I think 50 some odd, there's been 50 some odd different reigns with the title, but not as many men have held it as there have been reigns with the title. Because you've got to think, you know, Brock's a 10-time world champion. The Rock's a 10-time world champion. Austin held it 6 times. Triple H is a 14-time world champion. Randy Orton is a 14-time world champion. Uh, you know, it's like, you know, shooting the title back and forth between people doesn't make your title more valuable. It makes it less.
And because you know what, Backlund held the title twice. His first
Hmm.
reign was at least 3 years.
Yeah.
I have to go look and see what it, but it was a long time.
Yeah.
His second reign was like a week.
Yeah.
It's like, well, he's a two-time champion. Well, it's more impressive that first reign lasting as long as it did. That second reign, not so
The
much.
second reign, he was a placeholder. He beat Brett. He drops it to Diesel. It was a way to get him. It was a way to get the title on Diesel without having to do babyface versus babyface.
And Diesel held it for almost a year.
Diesel had it almost a year. Yeah, I think
Like,
he was just a couple of days shy of a
yeah.
full year as champion. Um, but yeah, that's all that reign was, you know, I think it was a way to repay Bob Backlund for his contributions earlier in the company and to be a placeholder between Brett and Diesel.
Oh, so on to WrestleMania. Uh, First match, and you called it. You said it was going to be Austin Theory and Cena was going to be in
Mm-hmm.
the first match. Because you had already seen they'd already announced that.
Yeah.
And Austin goes over Cena. I missed the ending
The
because,
yeah.
yeah, my wife pulled up. She had some stuff to get out of the car. So I went out there. I'm thinking, well, I could just rewind it and catch whatever. They apparently had turned off the rewind function during the pay per view, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And
Oh, okay.
so I
Yeah.
came back, and Theory's walking down the aisle holding the belt up, and I'm like, so
He hit a low blow on Cena while the ref was because Cena had him up in the for the AA, but when he went back, Theory's feet hit the referee in the chest, knocked the referee down. So then Austin Theory hit the low blow, hit the A-Town down, and won. I was perfectly fine with that. Austin Theory's a heel. It was a heel thing to do.
and you called it. You
Yeah.
actually called that too. You said he will win, but it'll be with
Yeah. I knew he was gonna cheat.
yeah.
Here's the full circle thing too. We talked about full circle last time in our preview.
Hmm.
Cena's first WrestleMania match was for the United States title. His possible last WrestleMania match was for the United States title. John Cena cheated to win the US title in his first
Ah,
match. He used the chain he used to wear. No, he used those the knuckles that said, word life across his knuckles.
I need to get these engraved with that.
Yeah. But he used those to hit the Big Show. And that's how he won the US title. So I feel like it's only appropriate for Theory to cheat to beat him to retain the US title. And
And
John
good,
Cena knows that the end is near because like
yeah.
when he was about to do the 5 knuckle shuffle, the crowd was losing their mind and he stopped and did a
Hmm.
thank you before he finished the move, and he knows that it's about over. But poor John, that bald spot
And
is
he can't shave it because
he can't,
movies.
he can't shave it because of the movies. But it's like, ooh, you're getting like Shawn Michaels
Yeah.
level bald spot there, buddy.
Yeah. Just just let it go. Either that or just
Yeah.
grow the skullet. You know.
Was
Good match though.
a good match. Theory, I feel like Theory hung in there with him. I think Theory proved a lot in that match.
Hmm. The next match was the Fatal Four Way Tag Team match. This is one of the matches we labeled as next.
Yeah, Street Profits won like I knew they would, and there ain't much more I got to say about
I
that
mean,
match. It was just,
when I texted you and I said it was entertaining. It was a spot fest.
yeah,
Um,
it was a
I mean,
spot fest, but it was it was it would have better been it would have been better having that as a SmackDown main event than having that as on the WrestleMania card. That was one of those matches they could have pulled out to kind of streamline the show more.
it was very choreographed. You could tell.
Oh yeah.
And I will say though, best spot of the match, Chad Gable hitting the German on Braun Strowman.
Yes, that, and then a very close second was Montez Ford doing the frog splash and completely changing direction
Yes.
in midair. As he's coming down, he completely turns his body all the way around. And
Like,
it's like
oh.
why are we not strapping the rocket to this dude?
So it almost makes it like a Alexa Bliss's move.
Twisted Bliss. Yes,
Yeah. So
yes.
it's almost like that.
Yeah.
Which I always like that move anyway. The first wrestler I remember ever seeing doing that was actually Too Cold Scorpio.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, but I mean, like I said, I mean, the match was pointless. You did call the winner. They did
That
not break up though.
I didn't get the heel turn that I thought that I was
Didn't get the
hoping
heel
I'd get,
turn.
but they did win. So at least I got right now I'm two for two.
Yeah, and plus I don't because they are actually acknowledging that him and Bianca are married.
Mm-hmm.
And during some of the vignettes they were showing, which I actually thought was kind of cool how they did that the whole movie thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they were on the Titanic.
Yeah.
You know, now I will say she would have let him up on that door. I'd
Oh
like
yeah.
Kate Winslet.
Yeah. Let
Yeah,
poor Leo freeze to death, but
yeah, he could have fit.
oh,
You know,
absolutely he could have fit.
yeah, she should have
They
stopped
even had
kicking
that
him.
on Mythbusters, and they're like, yeah, he could have fit on
Yeah, he could have fit on
there.
the door. Yeah, yeah, her butt wasn't that big. Come on.
No.
So, but yeah, the next one, Seth Rollins, Logan Paul,
Now
another.
that one I was wrong because I expected Logan Paul to win,
Yep, so did
and
I.
Seth ended up winning. Very entertaining match as usual. Logan Paul showed out. He, tremendous athlete. Can't say anything bad about him. Seth Rollins is untouchable right now,
Hmm.
skill wise, character wise, crowd interaction wise. I
Yep.
mean, he's got a conductor literally conducting his
Yes.
theme music and conducting the crowd to
He's like,
conduct his theme music. It's like, how much more over? It's Sami Zayn and then Seth Rollins, as far as
hmm
like your trinity of over wrestlers are Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes.
yep.
There's your because those three guys, like Seth is on another level, and it's like I am thoroughly enjoying this Joker Riddler mad genius thing he's got going on. It's like everything's fell into place. You know, mic skills, you know, charisma, fan interaction. He has the fans eating out of the palm of his hand every time he's out there. And it was an excellent match. Seth won. I was wrong about that one. So I'm
And
two
then
and one.
it was pointed out that Logan Paul, his contract is now
His
over,
contract's done. That was
and
his last
so
match on his current deal. He's expecting to resign, is what he said
yeah.
on Twitter. But right now, he's not under contract with WWE.
I didn't. I had no clue who KSI was. I just now looked him up. So he's not even a wrestler. He's just another YouTuber, boxer,
Yeah,
celebrity type
yeah,
person.
yeah.
And he took a
Oh yeah, he,
splash
he took the
from
frog splash
one.
through the table. Yeah,
So you know what? Props to
yeah.
him.
Hats
They
off, buddy.
they would ask me to do it. I'd be like, no, no, no,
Well,
I can't
me,
do it.
I'd be like, well, what's the
Well,
check look
actually,
like?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, what's the coinage look like?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like if
Baby
I
needs new
see enough
shoes. Come on.
zeros, it'd be like, okay, put me in the suit. Let me take that frog splash.
What's that dude say in Harlem Nights right before he's trying to? Baby's got to get new shoes. Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So
Baby needs new shoes.
baby needs new shoes. Yeah, pay me. Now the 6 woman tag team match. hmm, I
Eh, it
I'm
went as it went as expected, but I did not think it was a good match, and here's why: Lita and Trish, legends, Hall of
yes.
Famers,
hmm
well deserved. Set paved blazed that path for the women that are there now, but they had no business in that match because whenever the match was clicking good until one of them got in the match, and then it was sloppy because you've got
Yep.
two people that aren't wrestling on a regular, even a semi-regular basis. They're not even part-time. There's just some time, and it brought the quality of the match down because you've got Becky Lynch, and then you've got Bayley, Io, and Dakota. You have world-class talent in there, but the two Hall of Famers drug that match down.
The two Hall of Famers who wrestle, on average, well, Lita's wrestled a couple more times, but on average, maybe once every 2 years,
Yeah,
should not be beating the wrestlers who are there week in and week out.
exactly. Because like, okay, because now Io and Dakota were on Raw. Trish was not on Raw.
Right. And apparently Bailey was not on Raw either.
Exactly. And it's like,
That's a Vince McMahon move, but that's another story.
yeah. So I did get the winner right because I knew there was no way that they were
Yeah.
going to have Trish and Lita lose at WrestleMania. Plus, the booking of Damage Control. Damage Control needs Damage Control because the booking
hmm
of this group has been terrible from day one. As soon as they had Bailey lose 3 world title matches in a row, I knew they were not going to do anything meaningful with this group.
They need to figure out something to do because Lita should not be holding any belt, you
Lita
know.
should not be holding any belt. What they need to do, and this is nothing against Becky because Becky's the man, but they need to get those titles off them very quickly, and it needs to be Shayna and Ronda
Exactly.
that win those titles. And honestly, it should be Lita that takes the pin because she's the legend,
Do
she's the Hall
the
of Famer.
job.
Do the job and put over Shayna and Ronda.
That
For
match
the
wasn't,
for the women's division, there are your road warriors right there.
yes.
Shayna and Ronda.
Yes.
They are
Yeah.
your they are your road warriors. They are the killers that as soon as they come out, somebody's getting messed up.
And like you said, that match was, eh,
Yeah, it was
and
it was there. I watched it because it was there. I watched that one. I didn't skip that one on the replay because I didn't get to watch it live because we had family stuff going on.
right.
But I didn't fast forward it through it because I knew we were going to review it. If it hadn't have been for that, I'd have just fast forwarded to the end.
It,
And because it just wasn't a good
well,
match.
while that match was going on, though, the Final Four was also going on,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had on my TV, I had Mania. On my laptop, I had the Final Four.
Right.
And so I was kind of, you saw the picture I put and I sent it to you where I had both of them going on because
Mm-hmm.
apparently they haven't figured out, do not schedule WrestleMania at the same weekend as the Final Four anymore. Just
Yeah.
stop. It used to work when it was Final Four Saturday, WrestleMania Sunday,
And
championship
then
game Monday.
exactly. But they're never going to beat the Final Four. It's just
Oh,
not going to happen. They need to just give it up. I mean, I'm fine. I actually like the 2 night WrestleMania because it's easier to digest in 2 days than it is to have a 7 hour long pay-per-view to slog through. Because I remember, I think it was 35. Oh, it was like 7.5 hours. It
oh,
took
I remember that.
forever to get through that pay-per-view, and I was watching it live, and it was like by the
Mhm.
time it got to the end, it was just like I can't even be excited for Becky winning both titles. because I'm just tired of tired of
Yeah, it
watching
was because
after that.
it was 1 o'clock in the morning my time
Yeah,
when it
yeah, it was midnight went here
and
my
they
time.
received a lot of complaints about that. They're like, why are y'all making it? You
Yeah,
know,
and
just think about
again,
it.
that one was 7.5 hours, and it was probably 2 hours of filler at
Yeah,
least. So
and
I like the 2 night
this
option
one, I
better.
mean, now granted, some of the filler on this one, we know the storylines, we get it,
Yeah,
and I get that the once a year watcher, some people only watch one football game a
yeah,
year,
yeah.
Super
They
Bowl,
only watch the Super Bowl, like just like
and
and
so
WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of wrestling. So some people only watch. They only show up for Mania. They watch it, and then they're done until next year.
all right, so I mean, I get that they do show some of the vignettes leading up to whatever
Hmm.
match, but come on,
Yeah.
there was yeah, just it was too much time between the matches.
Hmm.
Um, that they could have, like you said, that was filler. They could have spent doing
Hmm.
something else. Um, Now the next match, and I missed, like I said, I missed. I'll have to go back and watch Dominic's entrance because a lot of people are saying what you were saying about.
It was fantastic. It
Uh,
was, if you've not seen Dominic's entrance, go check it out. It was, he's completely playing into the whole he went to prison thing and all that, and it was amazing. My only issue, and it was an excellent match. Rey Mysterio is Rey Mysterio.
yes.
He's one of those, you give him a mop handle and he's going to give you a 5-star match.
Hmm.
But Dominic Mysterio stayed step to step with his father.
Yeah, he
And
did.
he showed right there that he is going to be great. And he's already, even if you take the skills out of it, his character work has been fantastic since he's turned heel. Since he's turned heel and joined the Judgment Day, his character work has just is just on the up. There is, like, if he can keep the character work like that and keep honing those in-ring skills, there's no ceiling to how high he can go. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
they've
ex-con
been look
Dom.
yeah, they've been looking for the next Rey Mysterio forever. They've been trying to sign guys to take that spot. You should have just waited for his son to take the spot, because that's your next Rey Mysterio. That's who's going to take that spot and give you that next huge luchador star.
Now, who would you
Who
say?
who who looks like Eddie Guerrero, by the way.
Yeah.
He
Hey,
he looks like Eddie.
genetics. So, now, who would you say is a friend of ours who is the best expert on heels?
Ted.
Ted.
Yep.
On Ted's latest episode, he actually talks about the heels of WrestleMania,
Hmm.
and he specifically mentions Dominic,
Hmm.
ex-con Dom.
Yeah.
And he's like, you remember back in the high school, those guys that every town has the drunk tank.
Yeah.
You get drunk, they haul you in just because you're drunk out in
Yeah, and
public.
they just let you
Next
sober
morning,
up and then send you on
yeah,
your way. It's like
you know, but
Otis on Andy Griffith. You just
yes,
sleep it off and then walk
except for
away.
Otis when he got his own keys and just
Yeah.
lives up in and out.
Yeah.
And but of course, Ted even pointed out, it's like, yeah, the next day those guys are talking about all this hard time they did, in
Yeah.
jail, had their hardcore. He's like, that's Dominic.
That's dominant.
And
And he
I
plays
was like,
into it
yes.
so well that it's like it's so entertaining. It's just, Dominic is one of my favorite things on WWE TV right now.
And by the way, if those of you who don't know, if you haven't listened to the show ever, but if you haven't been listening for a long time, you already know Ted the Hillbilly Hill, the Hill Truth. Go check his podcast out. He's absolutely
Absolutely.
fantastic. He's
Yeah.
become actually a good friend of mine in Dwayland's, and
Yes.
he's very supportive of us, and we are very supportive of him. He's number one
Yep.
in Antarctica, you
And
know,
MySpace.
in MySpace.
Yep.
And if you don't believe us, prove to us that he's not.
But
So
Dominic should have won this match.
I, yeah, this should have been Ray's retirement match.
Yeah, this should
Put
have
his
been
son
Ray's
over.
retirement match. Yeah, he should have put his son over. This was the star making moment for Dominic. I still think it was a star making moment, even in defeat, but I still think
Yeah.
that he should have won the match.
Um, Next one, and this could easily be match of the weekend. Rhea Ripley defeated Charlotte Flair, which is what we wanted with what we
Yep.
called.
That match was fantastic. Props
Yep.
to, and people know on this show, I'm not a huge Flair fan. I I respect the skills, but I'm just not a fan simply because they have shoved her down our throats
Hmm.
since 2016 when she debuted on the main roster.
Yeah.
14 and since 2016, if you count the NXT championship, she is a 14-time world champion in
In
7
7 years.
years.
That means she loses it and wins it back twice a year.
Exactly. But this time she put Rhea Ripley over and
And,
she did it masterfully.
and there were
Um,
some scary, scary botches in the match.
yeah, but it made the fight more believable. There were
Yeah.
some scary botches, but this was a fight, and they gave it everything. And Charlotte sold that head hit on the turnbuckle post. She
Hmm.
sold that like $1 million. That avalanche riptide that Rhea did was just, hmm. And one of my favorite things about the match was that you could see Charlotte Flair broke character and was genuinely happy for
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley because you could see her sitting there with this huge smile on her face as she's sitting outside the ring doing this and looking up at Rhea like
Because they
that.
knew they just, it's like, go ahead, try to top that match.
Yeah, they knew they had put on a great match. She knew that she had put over the next star because Rhea Ripley is the next star of the women's
Yes.
division. She screams star as soon as she walks out on that stage. Everything about her says that's the future of women's wrestling.
And now I kind of wonder about something because, and this is actually, I'm not really going to call it a gripe. This match followed Ray and Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
She was not out there
No,
for
because she was
because
prepping
she
for her
was
match. Yeah,
exactly. So they probably should have had Ray and Dominic on like the second or third match.
yeah. That way she could have accompanied Ray out there,
Right.
possibly accompanied Dominic, possibly
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
him win. Then she would still have time to prep for her match before, you know.
Right. Because they've been pushing the whole mommy thing,
Mm-hmm.
which on one hand I think it's funny, the other hand I think, yeah, that's kind of creepy. But but yeah, they could have. I mean, because she's part of the Judgment Day, but it
Yeah,
kind of makes me wonder. Now she's the SmackDown champion. Judgment Day are on Raw. Who's moving?
my thing is they teased her and Bianca Belair last night on Raw. They had a
Okay,
face off. My my thinking is, are they eventually going to pull the trigger and have an undisputed women's champion like they
I think
do for the
I
world
think they
title and the tag title?
should.
I think they should.
They should.
And nothing against Bianca, but I think it should be Rhea. She's 20. Rhea Ripley is 26 years old and she is the only woman to have won the NXT UK title, the NXT championship, Raw, SmackDown, tag titles, and the women's Royal Rumble.
She's won. She's basically won the women's Grand Slam.
Exactly. The only thing she has left to win is Money in the Bank. She is
Mm.
because Asuka is the only one to have won all of those, including Money in the Bank.
Oh, Oscar, she was an NXT UK champion as well.
No, 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 not the UK champion. That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, Rhea
Rhea
with
was an
that.
NXT UK champion.
Yeah,
But then
and then Asuka's been NXT champion, tag champion, women's tag champion, Raw, SmackDown, Miss Money in the Bank, and won the Royal Rumble. Bailey has done all of that except win the Rumble. Rhea has done all that plus the UK title, and she just needs to
and
win.
that would be the hardest one to get.
That's going to be the hard because nobody will ever get that
Yeah.
because
So,
that brand is defunct now, so
oh, that's
nobody's ever going to
true.
get that.
So
So
Rhea, she
yeah,
stands in a class of her own.
yep. All she has to do now is win Money in the Bank, and she will be, the ultimate Grand Slam champion for the women's division.
Now, the next, if you want to call it a match, I'll give them this. I know why they did it. Time for a pee break. You know,
Hmm.
um, having Miz come out there with Snoop. Now, granted, I will tell you, Snoop, he had me rolling laughing like both nights.
Snoop was great. He played his role well. My issue with this particular part that Steve's talking about is Bobby Lashley did not have a match on this card, but
Sure
Pat
didn't.
McAfee gets a match on this card. Nothing against Pat McAfee. I enjoy his work on commentary. I enjoyed he wrestled at SummerSlam last year. I enjoyed that, but he had no business taking a spot that Bobby Lashley could have had at WrestleMania.
And I know they had to do some scrambling at the last minute to get Bobby Lashley something because he had a match. Then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
his
Bray got
opponent couldn't
sick or
wrestle,
injured or something, and yeah,
and so they said, "All right, here, have Andre the Giant Battle Royal."
yeah,
Which okay, I mean that is something. It's better than hey going there and be the first one thrown out like Baron Corbin. No,
yeah,
he yeah, I
yeah,
mean he did win it because I mean the winner of the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, if you notice, they always get a push.
yeah. They always
You
get a
know,
push, so
and so it keeps him up there where he's not out of the spotlight.
yeah,
And Bobby Lashley should never be out of the spotlight.
exactly. But he
And
should have had a legit. He should have had
he
an
should.
official match at WrestleMania, not an
I would.
impromptu Pat McAfee versus the Miz, and the Miz is in street clothes.
I don't think I'd want to see Bobby against the Miz because I'm like, especially something like that. It's like,
No, that
it, it,
that
that's
would
a
have been a
hard one.
waste, but it's just this was
But they
just a
he still deserved an actual match, though. You're right,
yeah. This is
absolutely.
just for me. This was just we're just gonna skip this and move on.
And I'm sitting there going, man, who'd the Miz tick off?
Yeah,
You know, um, but the match 3 minutes 40 seconds. That was probably about 3 minutes and 37 seconds too long.
yeah,
Um, but the next match was the main event, and it's rare anymore that you say a tag team match is going to be a main event, and rightfully so. And this is one of the rare instances. And I know
yeah,
there is the argument Charlotte and Rhea Ripley because that match was so good,
yeah,
but because of the bloodline stuff
yeah.
going on, this was going to be the main event.
Oh yeah, and it more than does it lived up to main event status. This match was fantastic, and I knew it would be. The Usos are probably the greatest tag team in WWE history. Um, it-
There is an argument,
there's an
yeah.
argument for that. I mean, they're just on another level right now
Something
with
about being
everything.
twins. Twins will do
Yeah,
that.
twins will do that, but I mean, just everything is just they're so smooth with promo work, in ring work, just how they carry themselves, to the ring. It's just everything's perfect with them. And then you've got Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, 20 plus years of being best friends.
Hmm.
They've won tag team titles around the world together before they got to WWE. Both of them are world class talents. This match was fantastic. And Sami Zayn getting the pin on Jey Uso to bring that story around was amazing. And that pop was wow.
um, Wrestler, the veteran Jack Vaughn, he had
Hmm.
this on Twitter. Let me actually, I'll go find this where so I can actually say it for real. But he was talking about right before Sammy hit that third,
Haluva kick. Yeah.
yeah. Which, by the way, I really didn't know how to pronounce that. I was like, what did they say until I saw it spelled out, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Yeah. They don't want,
So
yeah, they didn't want to say hell of a kick. So they call it Haluva.
Haluva.
So it's like,
So,
okay.
but Jack Vaughn, who I would love to have on the show at some point, because you were talking about a great wrestling mind. He really explains it, and he has this whole thing about banning the super kick.
Yeah.
Um, but he said the 5 seconds Sammy waited to deliver the final kick was the best spot of night one. Everyone knew what the outcome was going to be. Everyone knew what was coming, but because he didn't rush and let the emotion sink in for everyone, it was spot of the night.
Oh
Brilliant
yeah.
storytelling.
Yeah. And when they did the close up of his face and the emotion on his face, and it's like he's thinking, this is it. And Jey Uso sold those kicks like death. I mean,
Hmm.
just props to Jey Uso. Sami Zayn and Jey Uso have been the glue that have
They
held
have
that
been.
whole storyline together.
Yeah, because it was
And
Jay going, I don't want him in his family.
yeah, and
And
then they
then
got
whenever, he was like his biggest supporter, but then he
yeah,
was the one who kicked him in the face later on.
yeah. But this match, we all knew that Owens and Zayn were going to win,
Hmm.
but it was still fantastic to see them win. And this was just an absolute match, amazing match. If you missed it, definitely go back and watch it on the replay.
Yes. And the, well, first of all, I did like the shirts, the WrestleZania. Um,
Another thing I noticed when I was watching on uh, on the legs of their pants, there was the PWG symbol, and then down here it didn't say PWG. Like on Sammy's, it had the Arabic
oh,
writing that he
really?
has on his tights a lot of
Yeah.
time, and on Owen on KO's, I believe it said Owens on there,
Okay.
but it was made to look like the Pro Wrestling Gorilla symbol, which is where they got their big break in the United States.
See, that's another thing Vince won't allow to
Vince,
happen.
yeah, Vince wouldn't allow that to happen. He wouldn't have just. It's just little touches like that, the acknowledgement that people have done stuff in other places. They even acknowledged that PW. They didn't call PWG by name, but they acknowledged that they had history in Los Angeles, in Reseda, California, down the road from where they were, which is
Hmm.
Reseda is where the the home base of Pro Wrestling Gorilla.
And that pop when they won was huge.
Oh yeah,
And we're like, okay, great first night.
yeah.
A couple of not as good, but
Couple
I
of,
mean, but it
but
was,
for the most part, an excellent first night.
yep. So next night, we had a feeling what the first match was going to be
Yeah.
because the private jet was waiting.
Oh yeah, the private jet was fueled and on standby.
Yep.
Brock and Omos, and again, the wrong person won.
Hmm.
They just fed
It
Omos to Brock.
yes and no because they had Omos flinging Brock around like he was a rag doll at first.
They did for the first minute or so, but then Brock hits the German, and then he F5s him, and then it was a
And that was
wrap.
it.
That was
He was
it.
it was what, two Germans and an
I
F5.
think
Is
it
at
was
least
yeah.
is at
I
least
think it was two
two.
Germans and an F5, and that was it. And it's like it didn't do. Brock didn't need this win. That loss did nothing to help Omos. So
In
it was
fact, it buried him because how many did it take? How many F5s has it taken to beat everybody else?
yeah,
Like
it's
three.
taken multiple F5s to beat.
Oh, Omos, this guy who was 7'4",
Yeah. I mean
400 something
it
pounds.
took three F5s for him to beat John Cena at SummerSlam one year to win the world title. It was like 16 Germans, three F5s. It
Yeah,
took him two Germans and an F5 to beat Omos.
after getting smacked around,
Yeah, after getting tossed
you know,
around like a child.
yeah, because I mean,
And
and Omos looked good in this match.
he did
Well,
look good.
he looked a lot better than what I'm used to seeing him.
That's why it irritated me that they didn't have Brock do the job. It would have done wonders for Omos's career. It ain't gonna do nothing for Brock. Brock didn't need the win.
And but
They
this
just
was
want to keep
also
Brock happy so that
this,
they can do something so he'll still do business with them later on.
and this was the match apparently that Vince wanted.
Uh-huh. Yep.
So, and we all know who Vince's favorite is right now. It
Oh yeah,
has been for a few years.
it's
So,
Brock, yeah.
uh, so so that match, yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Man.
the women's fatal four-way tag team match. Um,
It was a cluster.
yeah,
Nothing against any of the women in there, but it's hard when you book a fatal four-way tag team match anyway. Again, it was another spot fest, and at least the right people won.
you called it.
Ronda and
Yeah.
Shayna won, which they were the only likely winners of that match. Everybody else was like just single stars that were thrown together. They were the only legitimate team.
One thing I will say, the men's match was 8 minutes and 30 seconds. The women's, same thing was 8 minutes 25 seconds. So
Hey,
they were the same length.
yeah, they got equal time, which is good.
Yep. But yeah, it the men's match, like I said, it was entertaining in some spots.
Hmm.
This one, okay, there's some.
Yeah.
It's kind of a spot fest, but it wasn't as entertaining as the men's match the night before because I noticed it was the second match was the fatal four way match
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
nights. Um, and yeah, you better put that match on kind of early anyway
Yeah.
because some of the things that are going to be following it, you wouldn't want to have them follow
No, no.
because the next one was Gunther over Sheamus and Drew
Oh
McIntyre.
Lord, that was a fight, and it was beautiful to watch. It was
Yes, it was.
fantastic. And again, Gunther won, right person
Hmm.
won. He is at 200 and well now he's at 298 days as Intercontinental Champion. I need them to keep that rolling so he can beat the Honky Tonks record so
Yes,
we can get that off the record books.
yes,
Um,
please. That is such a stain
yeah,
that,
but Gunther has done wonders for the Intercontinental title. Um, and that match was just three guys in a brawl
and
for a prestigious championship. You
you
could
know,
tell, and they went out there and made you believe every one of them wanted that title.
hmm and Gunther, he looks like a gym coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's
He's
the way he
gotten
had
in,
that hair.
yeah, he has gotten in fantastic shape because
Yeah, he has
he was like almost a super heavyweight when he on the independent scene and when he was in NXT UK and then
a little bit of chub on him, huh?
yeah, and then he just started. But I mean, he was solid, but he wasn't
Right.
like cut like he is now.
And they showed he could go at the Royal Rumble, even though he
Oh yeah,
didn't. Once again, he didn't go over, but or he didn't win, but he still got over.
oh yeah, because
Yeah,
he holds the record now for the longest time in the Rumble.
yeah.
That record stood from 2006 when Rey Mysterio did it
Okay.
until this past Rumble. Gunther beat
And
it.
so I think he even surpassed Daniel Bryan's thing in the greatest Royal Rumble, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I don't include that one in the canon.
They don't either
It's a good
because
match. It was fun to watch, but I don't.
because Michael Cole said on commentary that Gunther holds the record for for the longest time in an official Royal Rumble.
Yep,
So
there you go.
he doesn't even count the greatest Royal Rumble.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, it was a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's chests were red,
Oh yeah,
and um, I would have been okay if Sheamus would have won.
just to
It
get because that's the only title he hasn't won.
Yeah,
But I'm still glad they kept it on Gunther.
because I want to see the Honky Tonk Man's record get beat, and I want to see them bring the Honky Tonk Man back just to say
Yeah,
congratulations, but he won't. But
yeah. No, he won't. Just bring him back so he can take a power bomb from Gunther.
yes. But I mean, I thought that match that was like, yeah, good luck trying to
Yeah,
top that match.
yeah. That match was
Um,
excellent.
Bianca and Asuka,
Good match, wrong outcome.
yeah, and
Nothing against Bianca Belair. A solid year as Raw Women's Champion. She has the longest single reign of anybody with that particular title. But Asuka deserved to win.
I need to go back and watch the entrance of Bianca because that was another one I missed because
That was really good. The little girl that was the contortionist
that's what
there,
yeah,
her mom passed away
that morning.
that morning, and
So if that,
she still
yeah,
went out and bless her heart, that is a brave little girl right there.
yeah, because I mean, you got to say strong too
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely. That is incredibly strong to be able to still want to go out and do that because they said she still wanted to go out and do that.
I bet her mom would have wanted her,
Oh, I'm
to
sure.
go out there. So, and to be that young and to lose her
Yeah,
mom, I mean,
yeah.
that's just horrible. But but yeah, so that was, now I feel bad because I missed the entrance. Like I said, now I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch
Hmm.
just for the entrances. And but yeah, that match, like I said, I was really okay with either one of them. Because
I
I could
mean,
see,
I'm not furious that Bianca won. I'm not even mad. I don't think they've done right by Oscars, and I think she should have won that match, especially with
yeah,
the character work and stuff that she's doing now. She's got that darker, you know, stardom version
Well,
of Asuka.
well, here's the weird thing: difference between this match and Charlotte and Rhea. Charlotte and Rhea, it was like you had two heels.
Hmm.
Even though Rhea's been getting a lot of cheers, even
Yeah,
though she's with Judgment Day,
she's
Charlotte's
another one.
getting
Rhea's over, regardless of what
yes.
her technical alignment is. Rhea's over.
And Charlotte, even if they put her back as a face, she's still going to get booed.
Oh yeah, she's a
Um,
natural heel. People just
yeah,
they like
and
to boo her.
she likes it. Her dad liked being a heel
Hmm.
because he was getting all the women anyway.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but this one it was like two faces because we know Bianca's a face. I can't see Bianca turning heel. I really
I
can't.
can't either. And Asuka's the face. I mean, she's had some
Heelish, spraying
heelish
the
stuff,
mist.
kind of the gray area, but she's still. I mean, she's over with the crowd. She's still a face. The crowd loves her. So yeah, it was two faces, and it's not
She
always
sprayed.
easy to book two faces.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
It's
it's not
easier doing heel versus heel than it is face versus face.
yes because your natural tendency is you don't want to boo
Yeah,
the good guy.
yeah.
And these are two that very popular.
Hmm.
And I don't really think there's a well one or the other. There is no um absolute here. No, you can like both of these because both of them are good and both of them have earned all the accolades they've got. And so, who do you cheer? But then, of course, Oscar spraying the mist. She totally missed the mist.
Yeah, she missed it.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, I just not thought about something. They could have had Muda walk out ringside right before she did it,
But
but
yeah, because that Muda has been Oscar's inspiration since she started wrestling. That was, she
you know
modeled
what?
herself there.
I did catch part of Oscar's entrance. I walked back in, and they had all the women in the kabuki masks.
Hmm. And did
You
you
know,
notice that on the Rey Mysterio match, his mask looked like Muda's.
you know what? I
When
did
Muda,
read somebody pointed that out.
like when we first were introduced to Muda, he didn't wear a mask. He wore the face paint.
Right,
But in Japan, he wore a mask a lot of the time, and the mask that Rey Mysterio was wearing for his match at Mania looked like a Great Muta mask.
because in Japan, a lot of times they will have like wearing a mask,
Mm.
not during the match, but wear it
Yeah,
you come out and then they'll take it off. Like
yeah,
Vader. I mean, that was his thing. Now Vader had that
yeah,
weird,
yeah. That
you
weird
know,
jockstrap looking thing that he wore,
yeah.
which nobody else could have got pulled that off, but he did. But of course, he was 6'3", 6'4",
And he played
four
for I
hundred
think
pounds.
he played for
Yeah,
the Rams or something
played
like
for the
that for a little
Rams.
bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
yeah, I mean, I was honestly, I mean, like I said, okay with either one of them because
hmm,
I could see the pros for both camps. But I knew it was going to be a good match, and you know, and of course Bianca. I mean, I guess they have other plans for her. Because
well,
who were you saying teasing? It was
Rhea,
Rhea.
because they had a face off on Raw
Ooh,
last night.
okay,
That,
yes, a
that,
title versus title.
that was another scrapped segment, another scrapped match
Hmm.
that they were going to have. They were supposed to have two, I think, two triple threat matches. I'll have to go back and read it. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it on the next show. But they were supposed to have two matches, and then the winners of those two matches would wrestle each other to determine the number one contender for Bianca's title. Well, Vince scrapped all that, so none of that happened. We got the Rhea Ripley face off
Thank,
before,
thanks, Vince.
which is fine. But if the show's already written, just leave it alone. Unless somebody's hurt or can't or travel problems and they can't get there or whatever, things like that come up, then rewrite that particular segment. But stop
Or
scrapping the show.
what if somebody comes out as a surprise opponent and they blow their quad like as soon as they get in the ring?
Yeah, like Shane O'Mac,
The very next match.
who had no business out there to begin with. As soon as his music started, it's like, this doesn't smack of nepotism.
When when I texted you and said, "Dude, are you watching it live right
Mm,
now?" It was when Shane's music hit.
it's he did, you know, what did he do? One move, landed wrong, blew his quad
He
out.
it wasn't even a move. It was like a leapfrog.
Yeah, yeah, it was a. I can't say what I want to say because we're family friendly. It was a half-hearted leapfrog
Yeah,
because 50 years old and has no business out there.
No, he's 53 years old.
53. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
but Shane thinks he's the toughest man in the world, gets out there, blows his quad. Steve texted me earlier and he said, "What is it about the McMahon Levesque family tearing their quads?" And I replied back, I'm like, "I've heard of family bonding, but come on."
Exactly. You know,
Triple H has blown out two quads. Vince has blown out two quads. So
Vince did
Shane,
it. Vince did it, blew out both quads within a minute of each other, which is
yeah.
actually kind of
And
impressive.
so Shane, you've got another quad waiting on you, buddy. But
You know, at
there was
least
no, it was
it
pointless.
wasn't, it was fun, but I'm like going, um, is he really
Yeah.
hurt? And then, especially when Snoop all of a sudden,
Jumps in.
then
Yeah.
yeah,
But at
now I'll
least,
get that. I will give Snoop credit for that one.
I
You
mean,
know, he
he improvised on the spot and went in there and salvaged that segment as best he could. You know, hit the people's elbow and all that stuff.
not bad for somebody
No,
who is
not
not
bad.
a wrestler. He's in the
Yeah,
Hall of Fame, but he's not a wrestler,
yeah.
and he was probably high.
Oh,
So
as a bird. I mean,
yeah, because we
there's
took off his glasses. I'm sitting there going,
yeah,
all right, you look in his eyes to see if they're
there's no way
bloodshot.
Snoop wasn't high. I think Snoop's high all the time. That is his
Yeah, that's
general
his
state
thing.
of being. But yeah, but that was another unnecessary segment that could have gone to somebody else who didn't end up getting a spot on
And
the
like I
show.
said, who did the Miz tick off?
Yeah, he gets beat up, two nights in a row in street clothes. It's like what is the
By
problem?
two non one
By
of them
two
is really a non wrestler, not
yeah,
even an athlete.
yeah,
And like I
but
said, though Snoop had me dying laughing. Though, you
yeah.
know, Snoop is very entertaining.
I agree with Corey Graves when he said protect Snoop at all costs because he's a national treasure. I
Yeah,
completely
and, you know, and not bad for somebody who 30 years ago was on trial for murder.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and okay, on a lighter, say not Sami Zayn be getting the biggest pop of both nights. Not bad for
Hmm.
somebody who a year ago jobbed out to Johnny Knoxville
Yes, willingly jobbed out. I mean,
willingly.
he had no issue with doing it, but yeah, I agree.
But next match, to me, my favorite entrance that I actually saw, but
Edge,
Edge.
yeah,
And then for some reason, I was thinking it was Finn. I even put that on Facebook on the Wrestling with an Idea,
yeah,
you know. And Johnny actually replied. He said Edge, and I'm like, yeah, I realized that after I'd posted, but it was
yeah.
right before he took the mask off, and I'm like, I crud, you know. But I heard it was the song "South of Heaven" by Slayer,
Hmm.
and with the red lights, and I sent you the somebody had tweeted a video of it, and I sent that to you.
Yeah. And here's the thing, the it's funny because they used South of Heaven by Slayer. Edge created Judgment Day. Damian Priest was the first person in Judgment Day that Edge recruited to Judgment Day, and one of Damian Priest's signature moves is a side choke slam that he calls South of Heaven.
Oh wow. Okay, did everybody
Because,
catch the
ladies and
connection?
gentlemen, I'm a wrestling nerd, and I
And
remember.
then he is not just a wrestling nerd, but Dwaylen also knows some about some thrash metal too.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
He's not necessarily a Megadeth fan. He's told me that in the past. He's like he's okay, but
I just really like their cover of No More Mr. Nice Guy.
yep. But I mean, I know you like some Metallica. You know,
I love Metallica.
how about some Anthrax?
A little bit, yeah. I'm
You
the man
know,
is still still good stuff.
yeah. Um, their cover "Bring the Noise" with it, which they
Yes,
did with Public Enemy. I
yes,
know we're
that was
kind of
good.
going off the rails just for a second, but
But
we got the big four covered, but you also got other like the next level
yep,
and
yep.
like Overkill, Exodus, Testament, Nuclear
Hmm.
Assault. Then you have the German big four: Creator, Destruction, Sodom, and Tankard.
Hmm.
Um, and then there's like a Swedish big four. Let's see, Entomb, Dismember, and I can't remember the other ones. But yeah, but and this how Bo knows like everything.
Hmm.
Dwaylen knows thrash metal
Yeah, I do.
and
I do.
wrestling.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, when you saw the Facebook also lit up, Slayer,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
And Twitter was like blowing up with it too.
Slayer.
Yeah. But this
And
match was good. Finn got his head split open.
Yes, legit.
Legit, they stapled it shut. He finished the match. So
They wanted to stop the match, but he was like,
yeah,
"No."
they wanted to stop it, and he's like,
Did
"No,
Did you
fix it."
see the blood dripping
Yeah, I mean,
on
it
the?
looked like somebody turned on a faucet and just,
I
and it was
I
just pouring.
I felt bad for the EMTs because, of course, he had all the demon makeup on,
Yeah, so it was
which would
hard to
make it.
see what was paint and what was blood. Yeah,
Yeah. So when you looked at it, you're like, "Oh, oh yeah,
yeah,
that's bad."
yeah. That's
You
ugh.
know.
But yeah, but it was a good match. Finn should have won. Uh, one, Finn's going to be there day in and day out, which Finn had to take some time now because he got his
Staples in
head
the head.
he got his head split wide
Look,
open.
look at
As
all
I
like Frankenstein right now.
Yeah, as I say, he got his head split open to the white meat show because it was all the way down, and he
Mm,
had to get it stapled mid match. So deservedly, he needed some time off, but he's going to be there week in and week out. Edge is going to be there a handful of matches. There was no reason for Edge to win this. Even to end the feud, Finn should have still won.
yes,
But because that man busted his head open like that and still finished that and wanted to finish that match, you should have called an audible and had him win the match.
yes,
He's giving, he literally is giving you blood, his own blood for this match, and you can't let the dude win this match.
and to the point, like you said, they had to get staples put in his head,
Yes.
and still climbed up on that little platform that just happened to be conveniently built into the side of the cell.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, I'm,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad they started doing that to kind of all right because they're going to climb up there anyway. Might as well make it a little bit safer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like,
Like when
okay,
they used to put the footholes in the side
yeah,
of the
and I
cell.
think they still do that. That's cause of
Mhm.
Foley, and
Yeah.
Undertaker doing their thing. And it's like, where does it go from here?
Yeah. Because
Because
now it's like it again, to me, it hurts Finn because it's like, oh well, Finn couldn't end the feud after all the bluster and everything that he said. He couldn't end the feud, and then Edge ends the feud. But where does Edge go? There's
right,
nothing else for Edge to do.
you should have just called it and
They,
said,
yeah, they should have had Finn beat Edge because that's a hat in Finn's. That's a feather in Finn's hat to beat a Hall of Famer, especially a Hall of
"Mhm,
Famer that was retired for 11 years and was able to come back from a career-ending injury, and you beat him in the cell.
Edge is not okay. Edge should not be put back as the top tier. He should not be put it as far as like the main event of the
No,
shows because that he should not be challenging for the world title anytime soon. So it's like, all right, Edge, where do you go? Right now, Edge, you should be the one bringing up the younger guys, putting them over. And yes, it is a fairy tale story that he came back from that injury because I was watching the Royal live, when it happened, and when his music hit and the place exploded,
yeah,
and that actually was a bigger pop than even when Brock got thrown out of the Rumble. That was that
yeah,
same one where
yeah,
Brock decided to take on everybody. But yeah, the wrong person won this one. Not a bad
yep,
match. Hey, you got your wish. You got some blood.
yeah.
You know, um,
Got the color.
got the color. But then, um, the last match, the main event of both nights, Roman and Cody, most very anticipated.
Yeah, good match. As I said at the top of the show, wrong outcome, in my opinion, because Cody was white hot, and it was the
Hmm.
perfect opportunity to put the championship on him and give him that good spring summer run. Could have held it all the way to SummerSlam, and then have Roman take his time off, have Roman come back and challenge for the title. But I get having Roman keep it because he's close to 1,000 days. Tremendous run, tremendous record. He's a tremendous champion. He's the tribal chief thing has been fantastic. I
Hmm.
just still think Cody should have won, just like I said, because he was white hot.
Well, I think they will eventually give it to Cody. I think he will be the one to stop Roman Reigns' reign.
Yeah.
And I
But if
just
Roman
think
holds it to SummerSlam, Cody's got to, if it's going to be Cody, he's got to win it there because they've already cooled him off twice within 24 hours.
Yeah,
Roman beats him, cools off his momentum. Brock destroys him on Raw, dumps cold water
yeah,
on that. So it's like, why'd you bring this guy back? This guy literally tore his pectoral muscle off the bone, still wrestled a Hell in a Cell match for you, goes and has surgery after that, rehabs like crazy, comes back, wins the Rumble, gets the main event of WrestleMania, and you book him to lose.
yeah.
It makes no
And
sense.
I can see their final match being like a Hell in a Cell, something where nobody can interfere because
Mm-hmm.
that was one thing I didn't like how Solo Sikoa, they kicked him out. All right, cool.
Yeah.
You knew once the ref bump happened, you knew the Usos were going to show
Oh
up.
yeah, absolutely.
Sammy, yeah, so okay, we knew it,
Yeah.
and enjoyed watching it because Sammy and Kevin came in there, boom, 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 boom. Then all of a sudden, Solo Sikoa comes back and hits him with the spike. And when the referee counted, he looked up, he's looking right at Solo Sikoa, and I'm like, did you
Yeah.
not realize he's just said, hey, did I kick you out of here? You know, he's like, what happened to your accent? I thought you were Jamaican. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's a callback. So, um,
uh,
yeah, if
but
those of you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at some archives. That's
yeah.
actually pretty funny. What happened to your accent?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
But
I didn't.
overall, it was a good show. It was a good 2 night show. It was a lot better than I think either of us expected.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
definitely. That's what's as they begin
yeah.
the show. I'm gonna title it. We're sorry, we were wrong.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Yep. Two other observations about the night that just want to point out. Who was the rapper who came down with um the auto tune voice? Little Gen Z or something like
Little
that.
Uzi Vert, he is
Little,
awful. He is
yeah.
terrible.
And I wanted to look at him and go, pull up your pants. Pull up your
Exactly. Pull
pants.
your pants up. That's
Pull your
exactly
pants
what I
up,
thought
dude.
when I saw him.
Seriously. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Same here. See, we're old. We can do this now.
Yeah.
They say, pull up your pants.
Yeah.
And then right before Cody's match, he gave his belt
Mm-hmm.
to John Huber's son.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And they actually referred to him,
Mm-hmm.
by his actual name. They said he was known as Luke Harper
Yeah.
here, but this is, the late,
Yeah.
so they actually, which oddly enough, I don't think would not have happened under Vince,
No, I don't think so either.
which is sad.
Yeah.
But he was one of Cody's best friends and he passed away.
Yeah.
But but yeah,
Yeah.
so another WrestleMania in the books. We
Yeah.
thought it was going to be not great. It turns out definitely a lot better than what we expected.
Yeah.
It had a few issues, but for the most part, I mean, it was a good show. I mean, I enjoyed it. The first night was better
Yeah.
than the second.
I agree.
And from what I've seen, I didn't watch the Raw because I was just exhausted last night. But from what I'm seeing about the Raw, a lot of people, are just
Yeah. I heard it
um,
wasn't that good, but yeah. But yeah, it's getting late, so I guess we better wrap this up.
yep,
Uh,
because I got work tomorrow. But I have my another interview tomorrow afternoon. So,
There you go.
like I said, told you before we recorded,
Yep.
had an interview last night, went well.
Yep.
They wanted my resume, sent it,
Yep.
and now they're looking at it. I'm gonna have another interview tomorrow night. So hopefully, I'll have something actually lined up before my days at my job now are
Yeah.
done. So,
Hopefully.
but yep. But all right, dude. Yeah, we'll make plans for those of all who listen, and thank you so much. We appreciate
Yes.
it.
Thank you.
Say hi to everybody, and might as well say hi to Avi.
Say hi, Abby.
Hi. So,
All right. Tell mommy I'll be out in just a minute. We're done. Go ahead. All right.
yeah. All right, dude. So
All
until
right.
we can talk again, probably not Thursday because it's
Yeah.
still so
Yeah.
right now we're doing once a week right now,
Yeah. Yeah.
but unless we manage to get something else scheduled. So
Yeah. Till T-ball's over at least.
till
Yeah.
T-ball's over. So
Yeah.
but until we can record again, just say good night and God bless.
God bless.